It's time for the movie raid, and tonight's victim is actress Chalet Brannan, that played in many films such as Friday the 13th Vengeance, such as Crepitus, such as Tinker. She's all over the place, as well as television. Hello.
Hello.
Is this the most exciting role you got so far, or do you think you got this in the back burner and like you're ready for a real challenge?
Well, whatever comes at me, like, I'm ready.
Now, when it comes to auditioning, do you have to work harder because of your age? Do you have to work harder to prove that you can get this role, or do you pretty much think that it's pretty much fair for you, for like just like everybody else, in terms of your age?
I think it's fair for like everyone, because usually when I'm auditioning, like, I audition with other people who are my age, so like I just have like the same like amount of competition.
So it's equally the same amount of competition no matter what?
Yeah, basically.
How do you feel like that? Do you try to be competitive, or do you try to be fair? Or I mean, what type of actor for you do you think you are when it comes to auditioning? Right when you step up to that table?
I try to be fair. I usually, like, whenever I'm around other people that I know who are auditioning, like, we wish each other luck. It's kind of just, like, whoever gets it, like, we're going to be happy for them no matter what.
I could imagine be a little nervous. Is it nervous for you every single time, or are you pretty much used to it by now, considering you've done numerous roles beforehand? But is it pretty much easy for you to do this more often, or do you find another way to bypass that nervousness?
I'm used to it pretty much, because in this industry, you better know that you're going to get more no's than yeses. Even if you just got done doing one audition, just move on to the next, and they kind of don't focus on it as much.
How about when it comes to the acting part? Once you hit that set and get that script rolling, do you pretty much ready to go, confident, or are you still nervous then, or do you pretty much have something else that also bypasses that whole nervousness?
I try to like stay pretty positive and confident.
Positive and confident. That's always good. I mean, lots of times, not many actors do that, and of any age for that matter, because once you step there, you know, it's always a new experience, and no matter how many times you've done this, right?
Yeah.
And having to enter that and having to read a whole new part, a whole new script, a whole new genre, especially do you ever get used to the same genres, or do you continue to, is it always a new experience as well? I mean, you bounce from one genre to another.
I do bounce from like one genre to another, so like even if I have the same genre a lot, it's usually like a little bit different from my last one that is the same genre.
Now, how do you keep that energy and that focus from bouncing from genre to genre? I mean, do you believe in the whole comfort zone, or do you pretty much like to just be adventurous and expand out there, and then, you know, just throw basically caution in the wind?
I like to expand more, because like you won't get as much as you stay in like one little area, so I try to expand as much as I can.
Where do you get the most influence in terms of genre? Like, which genre do you think is more your caliber at this moment? Where do you get the influence from at this point?
I usually do more drama than anything, so I guess I use that more to help me.
And is this where you get like better roles in terms, once you go to a different genre, is this helps you out more than anything else?
Yeah.
It does. You mentioned, I think before, you mentioned that one genre that you would like to try out was definitely comedy. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Comedy is my favorite genre, but I'm not, since I started doing drama, like whenever I was really little, that's kind of like what I'm used to, but I would like to do more comedy, because that is my favorite genre. What's
your least favorite genre that you actually don't like acting in, but you can still tough it out?
I don't really have a least favorite. Maybe I don't, like, me personally, I don't really like horror, but I do a lot of it.
Well, it's also good practice for you too when you've done so many horror films. I mean, there are a lot of actors out there that are not really into horror, or even like horror, not even the films, but they act in it, they do very well in it. But you can still use that as a good tool once you go to a genre that you do like, and you can take that and use it to your own advantage and actually form it into something of your own.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of actors kind of lack that a little bit today, or do you think, you know, they're kind of rushing it too much?
I don't rush it that much. Like, I try not to.
So you pretty much stay on your own. It's like, I don't really worry about everybody else. I just worry about my own script and not mess up.
Basically.
Now, would you like to also do voice acting as well? I mean, you ever thought about dwelling into that too?
Yeah. So the movie that I started talking about at the beginning is Peter Pan. The one that's coming out next year is the voiceover, and I play Princess Tiger Lily in it, and she's a warrior princess, so, yeah.
Now, didn't you also play a part in a Star Trek film or a Star Trek show that they were doing a while back?
Yeah, I was in that. It was more of like a phantom, but I played a Vulcan as well. So.
I mean, I can imagine that'd be a fun experience. I mean, how, did that help also? I mean, being in a small part or a small film, did that help you out over in the long run, or was this just another one of those? Oh, it's just part of the resume type deal.
I feel like it helped me out a little bit because, like, at least it was an experience for me to, like, learn more about, like, different things that productions do. So.
You ever thought about working on more production in other areas too, or do you want to stick to acting?
I do acting and singing, and that's what I would like to do whenever I'm older, and that's, like, kind of what my career is based on.
Well, that must be like really challenging, having to do the singing and the performance, and then also the next night or the next morning work on acting, trying to figure out what lines to in terms of emotion. I mean, how do you work that out? I mean, do you actually just set a specific time and say this is what I'm going to sing for this day, and then hopefully I don't pass out the next day trying to do a line reading?
It's not that difficult. I mean, they're like completely different, but they kind of have some similarities. Like when you're singing, you kind of have to like also portray like kind of what your song is about, so that way like the audience can hear that as well. So kind of they both have like acting and singing both have like a feeling to it that you have to like come with.
Yeah, and when it comes to that part, I mean, storytelling is very important. I mean, just singing, especially, but a lot of times, especially today. I mean, how do you feel about the way pop singers and stuff are doing now? Do you try to do your own thing, or do you pretty much heavily influenced by a specific genre?
I usually use pop more, but I do look up to like a lot of like pop singers that a lot of people also look up to. So yeah.
I mean that's a lot of hard work. You really think you're up for a challenge for doing acting and singing within like say the same month?
I would just want to say like everything. So like just acting in general, and then as well as voice acting.
Now you're also in Friday the 13th Vengeance. I mean, how did you land into that role? I mean, are you allowed to talk about a little bit about that character, or at least what you play as, and how's the experience for you so far? I mean, have you even filmed yet?
We haven't filmed yet. We're going to be filming soon in like a few weeks. I play one of the girls' friends, Ashley. I play Ashley's friend, and I help her like to go find her dad. So that's as much as I can say.
You're going to get attention. You're going to get a lot of attention. Now, do you think it's more of encouragement, or do you think it's a little bit more overwhelming and more of a distraction?
I think it's more of an encouragement because I really wouldn't be here without everybody who supports me and who follows me through everything that I do. So I think it's more of an encouragement for me.
How do you feel about working underneath so many people, like each project? Do you pretty much just take it as is, or do you ever have actually express how you feel on some of these things?
Take it as it is usually, but if there's something that like I think could be better or something that I would like to add, I will express how I feel about it.
What's your most preferred role that you like in terms of a type of character? Like, do you like the more bratty or the more heroic and so forth?
Maybe like I guess more bratty, or something that like has like a lot of people around my age, where like my character has. I usually like to play like characters who are more like my age or more like teens, because I can like relate to it better.
Do you think a working relationship can actually hurt an actor if you're not in the right atmosphere, like the right type of environment in terms of acting?
I don't think it can necessarily hurt. I mean, sometimes it can, but sometimes it's good to like have a good relationship with whoever you're working with.
Yeah, it can be discouraging too. I mean, it could like if you're around people, maybe have bad days, or maybe let's say maybe you don't get along on the same page in terms of your acting partner or something like that. But at the same time, it could affect like your acting performance. I mean, people are going to see this on the screen because you had some kind of little tiff with somebody.
Yeah, sometimes like they might be having bad days. Sometimes it's good just to like maybe have a relationship with them, so that way you can like help them through that and like make the best project possible.
Now, do you think it's best to keep these emotions, like let's say you did have a personal emotion, do you rather keep that to yourself, or do you actually express that? Do you think it's better to express it through your acting performances?
I like to express like how I'm feeling through my acting performances sometimes, because it kind of helps you portray your character more and portray your character to the audience.
Yeah, it's also a dangerous combination too, because let's say you really did have a bad day and you're just lashing out, and maybe you might overdo it at some point and not realize that. I mean, it's a dangerous combination. It's kind of hard to control sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes, like, you may just want to, like, ask the director, anybody, like, can I just have, like, a moment? That way you can kind of get back on track and then get back to your role.
About how many TV shows have you actually been over in the course of your acting so far?
I've been in a lot of TV shows. I lost track, but I have been in multiple.
Would you actually prefer television, especially at your age? Do you think it's easier for teenagers at your age to break into television? Is it a lot more to work?
I feel like they're both, like, really easier to work with. Whichever one you do, TV shows or movies, they're both, like, kind of equal.
Because today, I mean, it could be pretty rough for teenagers and younger children as well. Because when it comes to television, because you work long days, you work long weeks. I mean, sometimes it takes months, especially on a TV show. I mean, that can go pretty quick or it can go pretty long, depending on what the situation is.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes it might be better for, like, kids or teenagers to do movies because it's a lot more shorter and, like, a lot more shorter amount of time. Other than TV shows, it is a lot more, like, hours and a lot more days.
Your characterization, do you think you're going to make it more with television than with film?
It kind of just depends. I would like to get a huge TV show that's on, like, a huge channel or anything like that, but it's not. Also, a huge movie that's in theater as well. Whichever one would be, like, really great. So.
Yeah, especially at your age, ego is a really big thing, especially when it comes to teenagers and young children. Do you think ego is something that's really important to you when it comes to succeeding in all these projects, or do you think it's better to have a straight level head no matter what?
I guess it's kind of better to have, like, a straight level and, like, know what you want.
Yeah, because a lot of times there are a lot of actors out there that, especially children, they think they're really great, they think they're the best in the world, but ultimately, they don't do so well. I mean, they may act very well, but they really don't have a good reputation, and reputation is also important, especially in acting, because if you ain't got some kind of a reputation, I mean, you could lose your career instantly.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really good to have, like, a good reputation because, like you said, it can, like, abuse your career or people may not like you as much if, like, you don't have a great reputation no matter how good of an actor you are.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it definitely doesn't matter of what people are going to say about you. Media, it doesn't matter what. I mean, you've got a reputation. Basically, if they stop talking about you, then I guess you got something to worry about, huh?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and plug in any additional websites or anything that you like to promote that has been recently released or even last year or anything like that you one more time for everybody to check out.
Yes, I have a few shows and movies on Amazon Prime. I have Chosen Can on Amazon Prime. I have Occupants on Amazon Prime. I have The Sparrows, which was on Netflix, and now it is on Amazon Prime. I have Tinker, which is on Netflix, and I have a few Redbox films as well.
Definitely look forward to checking it out. Any of these are actually in store, like let's say a rental stores too, or is it just pretty much throughout the online stuff?
Oh yes, I have a few movies in Walmart. I have The Sparrows, which is on Walmart, so you can get a few of my DVDs and movies over there as well.
Very nice, very nice. I definitely I'm going to check it out because I'm probably going to head over after work tonight.
Okay.
Well, there you have it, everybody. That is actress Chele Brannan.
Thank you.